What's up guys, Jay here, and I'm back with another build video. Now this video is for Ghosts of the Deep. I'm going to be giving you a couple builds that I think are going to be good with the upcoming change in the Rite of the Nine. Starting with the Hunter, and then we'll get into the Warlock builds. Titans, I'm sorry, you just do Bolt Charge Thunderlord. That's going to work for everything. So starting with the Hunter, I'm going to stick to the bosses, because that's really where you're going to want to have a build. Everything else you're going to want to add clear, and you can play really whatever you want for that. So starting here, you may see that I have Merciless on. Now I think Merciless is going to be really good here, especially for the first boss, because you're going to be up close doing damage. So it's going to be hard to use rockets. It's going to be hard to use linear fusions because he's going to be right up in your face. Now you may be wondering, well, there's another solar secondary that was really doing some damage last season, and it's right here, Lord of Wolves. Now Lord of Wolves is going to probably do really well here too. I just think that it doesn't do as much damage as it used to. It still does crazy damage, don't get me wrong, but considering that we have particle reconstruction here, it's going to be buffing our fusion rifles. I think Merciless might outdo it in this particular boss, so I'm gonna stick with Merciless. I'm gonna be on Prismatic. I'm gonna have the rocket for when I run out of ammo. And what exotic class item am I running here? Well, Foe Tracer and Spirit of Gerfalcon. Now, the only reason I have Spirit of Gerfalcon here is because I don't have another class item with Foe Tracer. Foe Tracer is the one you really want, because whenever you damage a powerful combatant with an ability, it grants you temporary damage bonus for weapons matching that ability's element. So you guessed it, we're going to be running Prismatic, we're going to have our Golden Gun, and we're going to be rocking our Knife Trick. Because, actually, we're going to be rocking our Snare Bomb, because this weekend stacks with Particle Reconstruction. So we can throw this and weaken. Now this build is pretty much the same build that we had in our last build for Spire. We're gonna have Faceted Dawn to give us Radiant, Faceted Protection because we're gonna be up close at everybody, Faceted Devotion, Faceted Solitude, and Faceted Courage. So what you want to do is just make sure you get to the damage phase, throw your Weakening Bomb to proc Radiant and proc Foe Tracer, and just Merciless the shit out of the boss. And once you see that you're on your last round here, you're gonna pop your super, hit those 3 golden gun shots, and then just rock it until you run out of ammo. Because with this origin trait, Final Blows with this weapon grant bonus super energy, and when you super expires, this weapon's magazine size is doubled for a long duration and reloads from reserve. So you're going to hit those 3 golden gun shots. This is going to proc, and you're just going to rock it until you're out of rockets or damage phase ends. Now, I'm filming this before the dungeon is actually out, so we'll see how well this does. Obviously, there may be changes. They may changes to Spire, so Ghost may have some changes. I think that this is a really good bet on being a good build. Merciless, fusion rifles, I mean, it's going to cook. Now for the boss, you have some options. Let's get to that. Okay, so here is my final boss of Ghost of the Deep build. This is pretty much the same build, the Nighthawk build from the Harpy boss in Spire. It's good. Now, the boss for Ghost of the Deep, you have to break a shield before you can actually do damage. So that's why I'm running Arbalest. I'm taking it upon myself to be the one to run Arbalest and let my teammates run stuff like Queen's Breakers or real damage heavy exotics. I'll be the support player. I have Celestial. You gotta hit your shot. So I'm taking on that burden. So I'm gonna run Arbalest. I'm gonna run my bow to get all the void explosions because we still have those in our artifact. And I'm gonna take a backup linear fusion for when I run out of Arbalest. I have something that's gonna do real good damage. I see I'm on that last shot of Arbalest. I shoot it, shoot my bow. Now I got bait and switch and particle reconstruction on my linear fusion. Fantastic. Here's the build. We're running Ascension for movement and jolt, grapple, snare bomb, same fragments, basic prismatic hunter. The real key here is not only do you have to break that shield, but you gotta fight a mini boss to get the symbol you need, right? So that's why you may want to run something like a rocket to help with that. I mean, you could use Arbalest for damage. If your teammates are really damage heavy, you know they're gonna cook. I mean, throw on a rocket to help you with that damage. If they're not, linear fusion. Again, if one of your teammates has what's it called, divinity, throw on Thunderlord and just call it a day, in my opinion. This is what I'm gonna rock for the boss for my clears. I think this is a good just be prepared build. Now let's move on to the Warlocks. Okay, here are the Warlock builds. Now this is for the first boss. Again, Merciless is gonna be my go-to damage. Again, you can have Lord of Wolves here, but I'm picking Merciless specifically because we're gonna be using Sanguine Alchemy. Now what does this do? It says while standing in a rift, damaging a target will mark it. You deal extra damage to marked targets and gain additional bonus damage with weapons that have a damage type matching your equipped super. Weapon final blows while standing in any rift. Pause the rift's countdown and extends its duration. So, what super are we going to use in an up close fight with a boss? Well, at least what supers are Warlocks going to use? You called it Well of Radiance. And Well of Radiance is solar. So this is going to stack with our solar weapons. And what is Merciless? Solar. And we're going to get Particle Reconstruction. So it just makes sense to use Merciless here. Again, Lord of Wolves is a lot of people's go-to. It probably going to cook even more with Sanguine Alchemy. So take that in with just in case. Because obviously it's probably a lot of people are going to want you to have it. Let's take a look at our build. I'm running our Healing Aid to help us stay alive, Incinerator Snap, and Hellion to get that extra ignition and scorch damage when I pop my Rift. We're going to be using Touch of Flame for help with our Healing Aid, and these are going to be our fragments. Ember of Solace, Ember of Pyrian, Ember of Torches, and Ember of Benevolence. As you can see, we're focusing on keeping our Radiant and Cure and our Restoration. Now this is going to cook, I think, the first boss. Mercy is going to do crazy damage stacked with Sanguine and the Particle Reconstruction. It just makes sense. I'm not taking advantage of much of the rest of the artifact. If you watched my last Warlock Strand video, you know that I'm probably going to be running that for majority of this dungeon, except for when I need to do boss damage. So we're just really relying on Particle here. We can change to Shreds to Limit Break if you want more damage, because we're going to be in Well. So that might be a swap you want to do. Now let's take a look at the second build for the final boss. Here it is again. Yes, I know, same build as the last one, but we're on a Warlock. It's different, right? Arbalest to break that shield. Now I'm committing on my Warlock. I'm committing to the support role. I am hoping that my teammates can do damage. So I'm bringing a rocket because I'm hoping that this rocket helps with those mini bosses fast. I'm going to do damage with Arbalest and I'm going to do damage with Starfire Protocol. Now this exotic kind of fell to the wayside. It got a nerf. Nobody uses it anymore, at least from what I see. I'm not a Warlock main, but from the Warlocks I do see, no one's using this chest piece, but we all know what it does. You throw fusion grenades, they explode, you get more fusion nades, you keep throwing them back and forth while you're in your well. And that's all you're going to do. You're going to use Ember of Ashes for Scorch and Ignitions, Char, Torches, Eruption, and you're just going to Scorch and Ignition your way to damage. That's all you're going to do. You're going to run Fusion Nades because you have to, Hellion to get that extra Scorch and Ignitions, and Touch of Flame to get the double explosion from your fusion grenades. Pop the shield, do the damage with the Arbalest and your grenades, and hope your team stays alive. And they really should be alive, because you're going to be running no hesitation to heal them and do damage to clear ads. Your role on the Warlock is support, and you are going to support the shit out of your teammates and do a little bit of damage. So those are the builds that I think you should be taking into the dungeon. We'll see how things shake out when the dungeon is actually here. Let me know if there's another build that you'll be taking into Ghosts of the Deep. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to drop a sub.